I think that, the big thing about this paper from the Fed, and you just have to, it's nowhere near as bad as it could be. I think that's the thing you have to say, first of all. And you have to kind of put up with the government, the Washington hubris, right, of the Fed saying, well, we want to reach out to all stakeholders. Well, in the, got my copy of the Constitution right here. In Article 1, Section 8, it says that the Congress is the one who regulates the coinage clause, right? That regulates the value of money and so forth. So the Fed has absolutely no business running off on its own and deciding, they say, oh, it would be nice if we got an authorizing law to do this in the paper. That's ridiculous. They have no business doing so without an authorizing law. It's up to the Congress of the United States under our Constitution to do that. That said, it is something that the Congress could do if it wanted to. And I do think the other good thing to say about it is that they talk about only intermediated coin, because it would be an absolute disaster for the federal government to come in and try to replace retail banking by offering accounts directly. And I think, but when we get to the risk question, it seems to be like, well, these are the same guys who lost millions of security clearance, including mine and Amit Sharma's, I think probably he's on this, and other people through the OPM security breach to the communist Chinese and so forth. And you're going to trust them to provide a product this way. They're leaving aside the elephant in the room. There's one little mention like, yes, cross-border payments are made difficult by this thing and that thing and the other thing. And at the end of the list, they, oh yeah, and there's some regulatory problem. The reality is, it is that banks are scared out of all of these markets by, $1 billion civil money penalty on Barclays from the Obama administration, for missing a SAR in Somalia or whatever it was. And they're scared out of going into these markets. And that hurts a lot of people. And when I started talking about this 5 years ago, in Washington and New York, people were like, well, maybe that's right. But if I go to central bank governors in Africa, they're finishing my sentences. They understood. They saw how their liquidity dried up and so on and so forth. This is a regulatory problem. It's not fundamentally a technological problem. There are all kinds of interesting technological things that are out there that people are innovating and so forth. But what is lagging behind is an understanding that the whole post 9/11, regulatory construct that moved for a time, the Office of Enforcement, out of Treasury and into Homeland Security, 1,800 guns and badges and all that, and pushed huge liability, changed the Bank Secrecy Act, pushed huge liability onto the banks, had a cascading effect throughout the system, and through ice water on the innovative processes of digital finance, and keep 1 billion people with a smartphone in their pocket out of the global finance system.